Okay, so we're now on to 1-7, which is a problem-solving plan. So I have a plan to help you problem solve. So plan for solving word problems, setup and solution. So solving means you actually find the answer. Okay, so number 1, what you're going to do is you're going to read the problem. Simple enough. Read the problem. And then with that, you're going to make sure you look for unknowns. And you're going to look for facts. Or if you want to think of them as knowns. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is you're going to define a variable, in which we should be getting used to that. Define a variable and use it to express other unknowns. Okay, so your variable will be one unknown, okay? And then you're going to use the variable in an expression to define other knowns, okay? So you're only going to use one variable for one unknown, and to find the other ones, you're going to have to manipulate it, and you can't just use a new variable. Can't do that. Kind of what we've been doing. Number 3, we're going to reread. Reread the problem. Oop. Reread. Write an equation using facts and unknowns. Your equation should have your expressions for unknowns and any other facts needed. And number 4, you're going to solve the equation. Answer what the question asked. Now, don't just solve for the variable. Sometimes that's the answer, but sometimes it's not. Look back at the problem and make sure you answer the question that was asked, okay? If you don't answer the question that was asked, then that's not gonna help you get the answer or get the question right. Lastly, check your results. So make sure your results make sense. Sometimes you can even, it's obvious. You see it and you're like, that does not make sense to my problem. So then you might have to go back and recheck it. Now, for now, until we actually cover solving, you will have a set of answers to check to see if they satisfy the equation you write. So although we're going to be finding the answers to them, which is what solving is, you're not going to be solving without any options. So like this one, you're going to have some options. Later on, when we actually learn officially how to solve, that's when you're going to do it. So our example, we're going to do all of our steps. That's what you're supposed to be doing for this section because it's a problem-solving plan. This is our plan. So Matthew has $23 more than Michael. Together they have $187. How much money does each have? Choices for Michael's amount are 72, 78, and 82. So we first read the problem, and our unknowns are, are Michael's amount and Matthew's amount. So those are our unknowns. Okay. What we know knowns. We know that the total, or together, they have how much money? 187. Okay. So that's our unknowns and known. Now, number 2, it tells us to define the variables. So what are we going to define the variables? Oh man, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm going to do Michael first actually. So Michael's amount is going to be something, and Matthew's amount is going to be something. Okay, and we have a hint right here. Your variable should probably be Michael's amount. Why? Because then when we figure out because that's what we're going to be plugging in right here. So if our variable is Michael's amount, we can easily plug these in. So that's a great way to tell you which one you should use. So I'm going to use M for Michael. Okay, and now I need to figure out how to find Matthew. I know that Matthew has 23 more than Michael. So he has more, so we have to add. So I'm going to have M, which is Michael's, and we have to add 23 to that to get Matthew's. Okay, so we defined our variables. Well, we find a variable and then we manipulated the other one. M stands for Michael. Now, number 3 is reread the problem. So we said Matthew has $23 more than Michael. Together they have $187. How much does each have? So now I'm going to be able to write my equation. So I know that together I have to do Michael plus Matthew equals the total, which is 187. So that's my equation. And then number 4, we're going to be actually solving it. And so since we know the options for Michael's are 72, 78, and 82, I'm going to plug those in for M and see which one works. So if I plug in 72 plus 23, if you use your calculator, you're going to get 167. So that is not right. If you do 78 plus 78 plus 23, you're going to get 179, and that's not right because we're trying to get 187. So hopefully this works. 82 plus 23 equals 187. So look at us. So we figured out what it is. That means that M equals 87. So M stands for Michael. So our final answer would be Michael's amount is $87. And then Matthew, which we know, what do we have to do to find Matthew's? We have to add 23. So if you add 23 to that, you get 105. And we're just going to check to make sure our answer makes sense. So make sure you answer both questions because it asks you how much does each have. That's why we did that. And lastly, checking. Well, I know that however much Michael has, let me change that to blue. Not that it really matters. We have Michael's amount plus Matthew's amount has to equal 187, and it sure does. So we are good. Okay? So there you have it.